afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with us today. My name is Natasha Turak. I am CNBC's digital correspondent based here in Dubai, covering the Middle East. I'm thrilled to be joining you today for the festival and delighted to be leading this discussion focused on Dubai's blueprint for an AI-powered future. And who better than His Excellency, Khalfan Belhoul, CEO of the Dubai Future Foundation, who will walk us through some of the very important work taking place in this space right now. Your Excellency, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Pleasure to be here, and congratulations to everyone that has been behind this amazing convening. Seeing such a diverse crowd is always a pleasure here, but Dubai and the UAE has always been built on such a diverse community, so it's great to see them all being part of this event. And of course, congratulations to the DIFC and the AI campus on coming up with this in such a short notice, and great to be with you on panel.
Thank you. Let's kick it off with a big picture question. What is the underlying vision behind Dubai's push to be a global leader in AI beyond economic ambitions?
Okay, so obviously I'm not going to talk about the economic side because it's clear and obvious, and you clearly stated beyond, but I think, and ironically, I was just actually a few hours back, I just attended the MBR CLD event, and I was honored to be there in the presence of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and ruler of Dubai, and the Crown Prince His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid. And for those of you that don't know, the MBR CLD is the Mohammed bin Rashid Leadership Program. It really cherry picks government officials at a young age to go through this journey of understanding how leadership is, what is the Mohammed bin Rashid leadership story, and there was an unbelievable story of His Highness back in the days and the journey of leadership. And it was so ironic that you actually asked this question and you tell me why, and this video keeps on repeating itself in my head. And I mean, I think it's just the strive to be number one, which I need to make a clear statement, because some people, and especially those of you that come here maybe for the first time, they'd say, oh yeah, they want the biggest, the tallest, the number one in everything. And I want to make sure that it's clear. There's a difference between saying you are the number one in everything or you aspire to be number one in everything. So if the push is to be number one in everything, doesn't mean that we will be number one in everything. If you push towards being number one in everything, that's when you achieve the result. And His Highness, his vision is always to be number one. But of course, there are learning moments, there are pivoting mistakes, there are learning curves that we all learn from. But I think this mindset of accepting risk, of trying, and trial comes with error, obviously. So having that test bed of an environment is what is, I think, the success recipe of Dubai and the UAE. So when you come and ask me, why am I looking at AI? Okay, so I'll leave the economic side, but I have to say it's $15 trillion by 2030. It cannot be disregarded. 100 billion contribution to the digital economy when it comes to the D33 plan on an annual basis. But I'll leave that aside, as you said. I want you to think with me, and this might sound like a broken record for those of you that had a discussion with me yesterday. So if you were there yesterday in such a small group, block your ears one way or the other. But I mean, we imagined one thing yesterday. We said, so imagine, and I hope this doesn't happen to any of you, but it will happen to someone somehow. So imagine you're asleep, your alarm rings, your alarm speaks to you and says, I have noticed an irregular heartbeat, and I have connected with your doctor. I've moved your meeting that was at 9 a.m. to 11. I scheduled the doctor appointment at 9. I ordered your coffee. I ordered a car for you that's waiting outside. And the appointment is set, and I've used your credit card to book your appointment for you. And this has all happened with you being half asleep. So you cannot disregard this capability. And maybe we think about it, but when you think about it, this is This all can happen right now. When I'm saying this, you're thinking this is fiction, but this is, you're basically aggregating data from Outlook to Uber to Kareem to the alarm system to your watch, basically, that detected the irregular heartbeat. So the magnitude of AI is so agnostic and so powerful, we cannot take it for granted. So you're telling me why? Because this is going to change our lives. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed and the leadership of the UAE want prosperity and a better life for its people. So that's the bigger why. If you want to be the best place in the world, you need to focus on safety, security, best health system, best educational system, and of course efficiency. And with that, of course, comes prosperity and the growth of the economy. But if you focus on the human first and the betterment of humanity, then naturally the other components will follow.
And you talked about Dubai as a test bed. And living in Dubai, I think we have all seen the uptick of AI in various areas of even day-to-day life, whether it's customer service over the phone or the airport or with law enforcement. I wanted to ask you, what sectors are we currently seeing the most AI adoption in, and why is that?
So now we are actually in embracing mode to this. This actually reminds me of, and I'll tell you why, because as you can see, there's this amazing campus that has been launched by the IFC. We at the Center of Artificial Intelligence at Dubai Future Foundation also have our own program. I was yesterday at DMCC. They've also launched their campus. The previous speaker earlier talked about different efforts and how you need to aggregate this data. So my point is, you need to right now embrace AI and try to understand it. This actually reminds me of when, and it also brings back the idea of being a lab and understanding new innovations. If you go back a few years back, when I think by 2015 or 16, when blockchain was the talk of the town, and I was saying even yesterday that at that time we had no clue what blockchain is. We probably still have no idea, but maybe we've progressed a bit. But at the same time, we launched a blockchain council at them. We gathered the biggest companies to have conversations, and it's important to get the stakeholders, the government leaders, the startups, the researchers, the professors, the venture capitalists, all in one room to actually understand how can this technology be deployed. So if you ask me which sector at the moment, if I talk about our center, we're currently focused on two streams. One is government services. How can the government services be efficient? This obviously is a very agnostic effort because government services span across medical services, all the way to mobility, all the way to security and beyond. But we also focused on media as well, because I mean, and you're heavily involved in media, so your job is at major risk. But I'm sure you're going to pull through. I'm sure you're going to pull through. But I mean, media is definitely going to evolve. And you will all adapt, I know that for sure. So us as center, we're focusing on those two sectors, but there are other sectors that are focusing on, other centers focusing on it, but I think we are more on the kind of convening mode, listening, trying to understand, running sandbox projects across all AI capabilities. Of course, when you have that mindset, you need to be capable of doing a right filtration process of understanding which ones are the right ones, what are the right technologies, who are the right founders to work with, what legislation and regulation are you willing to be flexible with, because this, and we have people from all over the world, so, and I'm sure a majority, if not all of you, will agree that no matter how much you invest financially in a technology, if you didn't have an agile regulatory body that actually adapts to this change, the impact and the change won't be as big. So you need this agility, and I think Dubai and the UAE have this agility and really embracing those ideas, creating testing zones, whether they're physical testing zones when it comes to application of AI, for example, on autonomous cars. You would need the space, right, to test those cars. AI with blockchain and financial analysis might not need a space, but would need a safe digital environment to actually test transactions before opening them up to clients. So this testing mentality needs to be done, and I think it's also one of the edges of the government of Dubai and the UAE to actually test those new ideas. So it's maybe I didn't answer your question on which sector, but we're kind of absorbing all sectors, trying to understand them, and we're focusing on media and government services predominantly.
Yeah, you actually answered a bit of my next question, which was going to be about Dubai's unique advantages in terms of regulation and its regulatory environment. And you spoke about that, but on the other side, there is also a need to regulate the potential harmful impacts of AI. How, as a government, can any country harness and allow enough freedom, regulatory freedom, to allow the private sector to innovate, to be creative, to find solutions, while also regulating against the harmful effects of AI?
So, I mean, I totally agree that when you said everyone, I think I'll go back to the statement done by the, or made by the previous speakers, that sometimes you have nodes of conversations around the world. I think we need to acknowledge that we're living in an era where we no longer can work as UAE alone, or the Middle East alone, or Saudi alone, or other. It's a connected world. We talk about economies that used to thrive within the boundaries of the country. This was when businesses were brick and mortar. This was when a car dealership would look at the surrounding customers. This is when a supermarket would look at the surrounding buyers around them. Right now, in your phone and in mine, we click a button and the world becomes our market, right? And everyone can actually use that service. So that's one. And we've noticed also in an unfortunate circumstance as well that global unity is a must. We've seen it, unfortunately, through the pandemic, and you've seen that. I mean,
would have failed at
yes,
that one.
100%. So you've seen maybe it wasn't about the size of the country, it was more the ambition. And this was also mentioned today in the Mohammed bin Rashid leadership program, is sometimes leaders need to take bold decisions. And this reminds me of the bold decision of opening up in COVID, and the phenomenal results of opening up. Everyone doubted Dubai at that time because the message there was, we had severe lockdown. We clearly, like any other country, took a major economical punch. I mean, walking around the streets of Dubai was heartbreaking at that time. But at the same time, the message was health and safety for the people was the utmost priority. But at the same time, knowing that this is not sustainable, ensuring that the trust needs to hand over, this is the moment where leadership said, okay, now we're all aware, we understand the magnitude of this thing, we need to now open up. And alhamdulillah, the numbers became or rose to beyond even 2019 numbers from an economy perspective because of that, and because of other efforts like the welcoming the whole world while other people are conflicting, and we have zero interest in geopolitics. Our main was prosperity, welcoming talent, and inviting everyone to come up with great ideas in Dubai. And some unfortunate things happening around the world that obviously we had nothing to do with it, and they were unfortunate, made us even more welcoming to the rest of the world. So I think adding all that together. But back to your point, I think we live in a world where regulation needs to be a global conversation. There needs to be like-minded bodies that talk all over the world. If we come up with AI policies and procedures that aren't aligned with what's being deployed in another strategic country, what's the point of deploying it, even though we know that a click of a button will take us all the way to that country, theoretically, right? So I think global conversations across the whole digital economy, not even AI. If you look at even the metaverse, everyone's talking about the metaverse and the digital world. You need those conversations to be taken. And I'm not saying there's nothing that's happening. We've been attending events in whether it's the World Economic Forum and beyond, and there are serious efforts of uniting, but I think there needs to be more effort in uniting, but at the same time, coming up with global agreements to embrace artificial intelligence.
I think it's almost impossible to sort of try to conceptualize the extent to which AI is going to transform our lives and our world in the coming years. But already we have seen AI being used to cause harm, to spread disinformation. Systems can be hacked, and frankly, all it takes is someone with a laptop and a bit of savvy to cause quite a lot of damage. Is there anything in particular about AI that keeps you up at night?
So it's one thing actually that, again, probably my team has probably heard it 1,000 times. So what keeps me at night is going back to the point of AI doing everything before you even wake up, which is the good side. But then my major concern is always well-being related. I love sports, and I think mental and physical well-being is at major risk with the invasion of the digital world and technology. We see it in our kids. We see how smart they are whenever they're sitting in front of a screen. They do fantastic jobs. They love gaming, and we love that part of it. They communicate with one another in such an amazing way on the screen. But I've said a few times, you bring them on stage or you tell them to participate in physical activities, in sports. I feel like this needs to be adjusted. If AI is going to take most of those jobs, we need to figure out a way to really be more active. That's one. And going back to your point, I think you can actually use AI to help you and protect you from AI. So I think this technology is smart enough to actually become a solution for your challenges that you mentioned. I'll give you an example. I think with our bare eyes, with the level of quality in deep fakes those days, we can watch deep fakes, and probably with their advancements in the next couple of years, we'll probably not be able to detect a deep fake from a real video. But I think AI, we can do it in a glimpse because it understands what's behind the screen, right? So if you can deploy AI to govern that, it will do a great job in eliminating deepfakes, for example, when it comes to media and when it comes to false information, which can be a big risk, as you said, as AI advances. When it comes to mobility as well, I think accident detection when it comes to autonomous cars, the understanding of traffic and movement and the mitigation of car accidents, I think AI will definitely improve that and will save human lives when it comes to traffic accidents. So obviously there are risks, but it's a matter of how you can actually deploy AI to make it favorable and try to gradually ramp up the testing of it.
Is AI over-dependence a risk, however, when you think about how interconnected a lot of these systems are? Grids, power grids, Wi-Fi even, any of these systems can be hacked. And at the same time, we have become dependent already on some of the technologies that have been evolving in the last few years. Is that something that concerns you? How do we create a balance with that?
To be honest, I'm not concerned with that because I think if you go back, I think human has always prevailed in the adaptation process. The only difference here is that it feels so significant at the moment because when we think about it, I mean, this jump in ChatGPT that happened is obviously scary. I mean, who was speaking about ChatGPT in the past 2 years, I mean, and now the level of comfort we have, and we're here only talking about text, and we're only talking about conversations. So I always speak to the team, and I've said this a few times, it's, the concern comes in when you really infuse three components, which is high-speed compute or quantum compute, and you plug it in with robotics, and then you add advanced AI to it, and imagine how will this function jointly. This is where you can have concerns, and the debate was, and I remember speaking to, I think it was Michio Kaku, one of the known futurists in New York, and he actually said, I mean, what if artificial intelligence becomes so smart? Because the answer was always, okay, if it becomes so smart, the human will be smart enough to actually switch it off. But then the question was, what if AI became too smart to stop you from switching it off? So this is where people start to get concerned and say, yes, this is something that we need to worry about. But in my humble opinion, it's humanity have always adapted to major advancements of technology throughout, whether it's the invention of aircraft all the way to handling different technologies, which I think makes it the natural progression of adapting to artificial intelligence.
To that, I'll say inshallah.
Inshallah, absolutely.
And unfortunately, we are out of time, but I could ask you 100 more questions on this topic. I want to say a huge thank you,
Pleasure.
Your Excellency, Khalfan Belhoul, CEO of the Dubai Future Foundation. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you all, and a big round of applause for our speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you.